Hi, everyone. So hopefully you got my little brochure. Yes, great, thank you. But before I get into my research and my findings, I just want to paint a picture for you, if I can, about my journey and what it was like to be a full-time mom and a full-time teacher and going back to school to pursue my PhD. So, checking my time. So real quick, it was a Friday afternoon, and it was like the third week of August, and I found out I was pregnant with Daphne, my third child, and then 3 days later, it was a Monday, and I got an email from Kent State saying, congratulations, you have been accepted into the curriculum and instruction program. And then 4 days later, it was a Thursday, and we began school. So I have been on this journey, fast track, hitting the ground running from day one. I took 2 classes a semester. They were evening classes. They started at 7:30 p.m. They ended at 10 p.m. I took summer classes. It was like Monday through Friday. I think it was about 6 days a week. And then, as you know, COVID hit. So during COVID, I had 3 little kids. Daphne was a baby. I don't know, maybe a year, 18 months old. And so I would drive to Whole Foods on Market Street, and I would sit in my car with my laptop, and I would take my classes, my evening classes, under a street lamp because I needed the light to see, but also because it was for my own safety. And that is how I learned for nearly 2 years. And then I successfully defended May 5th. And so it's only been about 6 weeks. I'm new, I'm fresh. And I had a lot of people ask me, how did you do it? How did you juggle all of those things? And it wasn't until I defended and the dust kind of cleared that I was able to see just how it was that I was able to do all of that. And how I was able to do it was that my health suffered, my physical health suffered, my mental health suffered, my emotional health suffered. I gained a lot of weight. I drank 1 or 2 glasses of alcohol, of wine that I probably shouldn't have. There was a period of about a year that I was in and out of urgent care and ER because my health was so bad. My husband had to call 911 once. And I didn't show up to things. I wasn't around. I didn't go to my children's friends' birthday parties. I didn't show up on Sunday for religious school. I didn't sleep. I had insomnia, and I think the most I slept was 4 hours a night. I spent every moment that I had reading and writing and researching and producing, and I was missing out on a lot. But as I said, I defended last month, and I am now on my road to recovery, and I'm feeling better, and I'm getting healthier, and I'm walking every day, and I've had lots of dates with my children. I think I'm drinking a glass or 2 fewer of wine. So that is how I was able to do it. So, okay, so if you want to look, if you want to follow along with me on the first page, you see, just for time's sake, you see beautiful artwork by Joelle, our own Joelle Zellman. I commissioned her about 2 years ago, and I was like, hey, Joelle, I'm going on this really crazy journey, and I want you to capture my journey, my dissertation, through your art. And this is what she came up with. And if I have time at the end, I can explain what the symbolism behind the elephant. So my research question basically was, what does fair and just teaching practices look like? I put teaching practices in brackets because really at the end of the day, this self-study, this research, the findings go way beyond the classroom walls. What I found is we need new educational theory. So number 1, neutrality is problematic. There is no such thing as being neutral. As teachers, we were told for a long time that being neutral is being fair and being just. And I'm saying that our personal, professional, and political identities are so interconnected, so intertwined, that it is impossible to be neutral. And in order to be fair and just, it's better to admit our biases, admit our values, admit our beliefs, because there is no such thing as being neutral. Number 2, the status quo is unfair and unjust, and it needs to be challenged. So there's this really famous theorist, his name is Paulo Freire, and he said, if we escape conflict, we preserve the status quo, and I do agree with him. But my caveat is, yes, but we can change the status quo only if we feel safe to do so. Times are changing. We have active fire drills, I wish. We have active shooter drills. Times are changing in the classroom, and we can only challenge the status quo if we feel safe to do so. Number 3, I argue that feelings are our transformative moments and feelings are knowledge. Emotions precede cognition. In research, we have been told for so long, look at the numbers, look at the facts, look at the data. I deal with human beings. My students are human beings. They're human beings with real identities. They come to my classroom with a lot of baggage, a lot of worries. They're scared. This is the first time they're on their own. So I'm looking at feelings and emotions. And believe me when I tell you that they have a lot to say. Number 4, would you believe it if I told you that 31 out of 32 of my students read the diary of Anne Frank in high school, and their reaction to the diary was, meh. Their words, not mine. 31 out of 32 students said, yeah, it was a sad story, but we really didn't get anything out of it. It was just a story. And for me, that's extremely problematic. Dewey, another great philosopher, said, experience and education cannot be directly equated to each other, for some experiences are miseducative or non-educative. And I think that is very true, and I think that is something to really stop and focus on, that here, the Diary of Anne Frank did nothing for these students. I believe transformative moments are necessary if we're going to have empathy for others. So it's all very personal for me, obviously. And if you look at the second page, just for time's sake, I want to just read to you the second quote there by Anderson. And it says, failure to understand differences or to subjugate or reject other worldviews leaves no alternative to challenge one's understanding of the world. This error leads to stagnation in increasingly unusable ideas and a fast-changing cultural environment. This makes me think of Joe's presentation last week. We need to open our hearts, we need to open our minds, and we need to know that we have to challenge the status quo to see different ways of knowing, different ways of living, different ways to experience the world. I wonder, as Reformed Jews, how do we challenge the hegemonic status quo insofar as we feel safe, to inspire transformative moments and properly educate others for a fairer and more just world? Do we have a duty to do so? In 20 years of teaching, I had 2 students admit to me or tell me that they were Jewish. I promise you, in 20 years, I had more Jewish students than 2. And those 2 Jewish students who said, hey, I'm Jewish, were students from last year and this year. And the reason why I believe that that happened was because I was a different person, because I went through this research, and I was teaching not from neutrality, but from who I am, my beliefs, my values, and etc. So, I think that's about all of the time that I have. Oh, I can? Okay, great. Okay, perfect. So the beautiful artwork, Joelle, God bless her, she read every chapter of my dissertation, and she came away and said, Lauren, I just feel such a heaviness. It's so heavy, and yet there's so much love and compassion. And I kind of feel like you as a teacher, it's like a circus, and you're a clown. And clowns sometimes are for entertaining, and clowns sometimes are really, really sad. And here you have the elephant, and it's really heavy, but elephants are loving, and they're caring, and they're nurturing, right? And they're leading the 3 blind mice. How beautiful is that? Here, she captured me, that's me in my car, as I had mentioned, studying under the street lamp with my very beautiful feral children on top of the car. There's Daphne and Anderson and Alex. And if you look very closely, you can see a clown nose on my face. But it was her interpretation of my research story, and it means a lot to me. And I know she's not here, but Joelle, thank you very much. So, yes, thank you. And I do want to say, I'm so sorry, last thing. You know, I talked about recovery. I'm healing now, and standing before you all and speaking to you is part of my recovery process. It's part of my healing process. So I thank you all truly for listening to me. I am here now. I am present. So thank you very much.